Hi there, Crafty Crystal here. One of the biggest crazes that's on around right now is making things and creatures with the African flower tiles. Um, I've been messing around with this all day experimenting. There's several tutorials on the 5-point tile. I found one on the 6. Um, None on the 3, 4, or 7. So I sat down and I figured them out. The 5 and 6 are pretty much identical. You have all the same basic steps, but 3, 4, and 7 are quite different. Well, a little different. 7's a little different. 3 and 4 are very different. Okay. When you look on the internet and they tell you how to make these, whether it's the 5 or the 6, you start out with sets. There we go. You start out with sets of if you're making this for like a blanket or something and you want it looser, you can use triples. I used doubles and it worked out great for me. I still think the holes are kind of big, but I use a G hook and regular worsted weight, and this is what I came up with. Um, you start out with two triples, chain two, two triples, chain two, two triples, or doubles. In my case, doubles, chain two, all the way around, slip stitch, and change color. Now these two rows here you can see are the same color, and what you do is in each of these chain two spaces you do 2 sets of doubles here and here with a chain two between, and then you chain 1 in between these sets. So you have 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, chain 1. Got that? Pretty simple, basic. There's one little trick you want to use, because if you're using the same color and these are going to go in the middle, you don't want to end up out here. You want to end up in the middle. So what you do, real sneaky like, is when you chain up 3 for your double, then you chain 2 for your space. So that's a chain of 5. And then you make your 2 sets of triples here, and when you come all the way back around here, and you made your 2 triples and chain 1, then you make your second triple of this set and slip stitch it onto it. Now here you are right here, and here's your chain 2 space. You just slip stitch down into it and start your 7th set. See? So for this row, it's 7 stitches, chain 1, 7 stitches, chain 1, all the way around. Okay? Now for the next row, that's row 1, 2, and 3. For row 4, it's all single stitch, single crochets. But what you want to do is you want to come down into the single crochet that was between this row 2. Row 2 had a single crochet, chain 1 space, and row 3 had a chain 1 space. You want to pass the chain 3 space, go right down to the chain 1, the first row 1, and what it does is it brings it all the way up, because before that it was down here. It brings it all the way up, and it gives you that long flower petal look. See, you don't have that before you do this row. It doesn't look the same. Then on top of that row, you want to do a row of doubles. And since each of these has 7 stitches in it, you want to go right up here in the middle of the top, and you want to put 2 stitches and a chain 1. Because that's where you're going to be making sure your corners match. This gives you each side of your piece. Now, When you make these here, you have your 7 plus your chain 1, 7, your chain 1. So from midpoint to midpoint, you're going to have 8 spaces, not including the second midpoint. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the middle, 6, 7, 8. Then when you get to the middle, you'd be starting all over again because that middle would go with this one. Now when you put your single crochets here, you're going to have, starting from the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But on the last one, you're with the 2 in each hole, you end up with 9 on each side. Okay? So every one of your tiles is going to have 9 on each side. In this case, it's 5. That's the exact same way you make this one, and you end up with 9 on each side. Okay? Now the 4 still ends up with 9 on each side, but if you notice, it doesn't have as many layers. We skipped this inside layer here. So you do the middle, row 1. You skip row 2 and you go directly to row 3 and do your 7s. And you chain 1 in between. And you do your single crochet row and your double crochet row just the same. In the top of each flower, doing a stitch, chain stitch in between each. Okay? And that way, all of your flowers, all your sides of all your pieces, will have the same 9 stitches that'll line up. Whether it's a 4 or a 6 or a 7. They'll all line up perfectly so you can match them. Now the 7 is going to be a little wobbly, but if you look at the places where this is used, like say on the giraffe, you'll have one part will have where it goes down under the stomach, another one straddles across the back or up under the neck, and it has to be odd because of the way it's connecting different things. You have to have a flat side on here and a point on the opposite end, but you have to have room for your other hexes and stuff to fit on there. So 7s are, the only thing about 7s is when it comes to these here, the 7 petals, you can't put a stitch in between them. It makes it too much of a ruffle and you'll never get it to lay out and match. This with just a slight bit of stretching comes into a real nice flat straight shape. But it will be slightly wiggly. But it's supposed to, the way it's got to fit, it will be that way. So everything else on this is the same except on this outside petal, these 7 here, don't put a stitch in between. You're still going to go, when you do your single, you're going to go down into the bottom here and go through this row 2 single crochet chain 1 space and bring it all the way up, a long single. Okay? Now 3 looks really funky. This is used like for a nose. It needs the 3 sides because you'll have you have a side here and a side here that meet, and then you have the flat part on the bottom. Now, this is made essentially the same way as the 4. In fact, exactly the same way as the 4. You have 3 clusters of 3 instead of 4. You have no second row. You go right to the 3rd row. You do want to put a single crochet, a single chain in between these, just like you do on the 4, and then continue on. You will have your 9 sides from here to here. You'll still have your 9 stitches, which will fit with your 7s and your 4s and your 5s and your 6s, all of them the same. I haven't seen a giraffe close up yet. I've seen some pictures on the net. I did figure out from looking at the pictures closely that it only had a 3-petal thing on the nose. So I wasn't really surprised when it came out cupped. There was a video of a girl who had finished hers. She didn't tell how to do it, but she wanted to show it off. And that's how I found out that the bottom has a square on it. I guess that's the only thing they could find that would fit it, because this goes down to the legs. This goes up to the hips. There's actually quite a few tiles. I think, like I said, I've just been working it out. I know there's one of these, and I know there's one of these. And there's one of these on each side for sure. And I think I figured out there's one on the back, and there is one under the neck. So that would make four of the 7s that you would need. And I keep coming up with different estimations on the 5s. Let's see. Where are you? I either came up with 11 5s or 12 5s. I think it's 11, might be 12. So make 12 just to make sure while you're fiddling around trying to figure it out. And make at least 22, 23 of these, of the 6s. And do some experimenting. Try some horses. Wouldn't a unicorn be cool made this way? That would be cool, making a horse instead of a giraffe and putting a horn on it like a unicorn. No ideas for the ears. I think I would just mess around with the ears until they look the way I like them. I think the giraffe horns ought to be a little bit longer, like they do, like I've seen on the pattern. So to make them stand up, I'd probably put a piece of pipe cleaner or something and wrap the stuffing around it. But anyway, that's a way to get you started. Like I said, this did take a little messing around. I've been working with it off and on all day. And that'll get you started anyway, and then you can make a bunch of these and experiment and see what you can put them together as. So, just a little note about the African flowers. If you really need to see somebody do it, like I said, there's several videos on making the African flowers themselves. They don't show you the 7s, the 4s, or the 3s, but I showed you the differences, so you should be able to do it. Okay, guys, happy crocheting.